Well, good evening, YouTube, and good evening, Eric. Or shall I say good afternoon, Eric?
Yes, it's good afternoon, but tell me something. Is it evening yet now? Because I know that it's not yet evening in England at this time. Isn't the sun still up?
The sun is still up, and it's going to be a whopping full moon tonight. I think it's called the blue moon. 2 full moons and a Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
which is in
Well,
keeping with the topic tonight, isn't it, Eric?
oh yes, yes. Talk about serendipity, and this what we're going to hear. We are told has never ever been released publicly. Now, if somebody did have this from the Queens County District Attorney's Office and hasn't released it, then we've got gatekeeping. But first, let me give thanks to who gave this to, um, provided this. It was Criminal Justice Christina Clough, Turner Noble. She's been kind enough to give this to us because she was greatly impressed by the last show we did, and along came Wendy, the Son of Sam mystery, that defended David Berkowitz. Our belief that he was not the attempted murderer of Brenda Maureen, Wendy Savino Clark, the Wendy Savino shooting, and because of what Jay Savino told me in a telephone conversation, he said no. He didn't touch or attack my mother or anything. And so she's very grateful to give us this. It's not been posted on John Curio's The People versus David Berkowitz. So we have this scoop, shall we say.
Yeah, it's great we've been given access to this before anyone else has heard it.
Yeah, and it's not long, but it's rich. It's rich.
Yes.
It reinforces my belief
Mm-hmm.
in a collectivity. It's very, very, very interesting. And at the same time, yesterday,
It ties in with what we've been talking about over recent months too, in regard to the person these letters were
written to
originally from.
D Channel.
D Channel.
You have discovered that the person who's not named, you discovered factually that David Berkowitz wrote these to D Channel. And I forget the name she was given in The Ultimate Evil. That there's you have a name.
Lee Chase.
Lee Chase. That's it.
Yes.
Lee Chase. Yeah.
David called her Dizzy.
Yeah. So you see it like Lee D, because Maury Terry liked crosswords, and then Chase, CHA, like CHA in channel. Lee Chase. So
we were going to do a live about Wendy, weren't we, originally? And then these audios came into our lap. So
yeah,
we thought this was important to get this on historical record.
Yeah,
even though it goes against everything I believe in, obviously.
Well, what's good is that Christina has not been a gatekeeper, and she appreciated objectively, because I've had my clashes with her, but she's appreciated objectively what we did. David Berkowitz was very grateful. I know this from Dr. Michael Caparelli. And at the same time, with our last 2 shows, but especially the last show, without any intention on our part, people are frightened of you and I because of our objectivity and things that we're coming forth with factually, you see.
Well, it obviously shook Manny because, accusing us of buying views, and it's just ridiculous.
And also two friendly conversations with Jay Savino.
Yes.
But that's another
very
story.
Triggered.
Yeah, that's another story at the Clarksburg Library. That will be another story. It's very, very interesting, and this just made my head spin listening to this tape. And what shall we do? Shall we stop and go, or play the whole thing at once? What do you want to
Well,
do?
I think we should just comment as we go along, like we always do, Eric.
Yeah.
I've got a lot to say about what he says, and
yeah, we'll just say stop here, like that. No, the code word we'll use for everybody is hold now. One of us has to say.
now, wait a minute.
Yeah, hold on.
What? I mean, like I said to you, it's going to take a lot more than this to revert me back to thinking David had help, but
yeah, well,
I think it's important to get it on record.
Yeah, and of course, you know this. People know this about me, even when I was with Manny Grossman. You've never heard me try to force somebody to believe that I believe David Berkowitz was with others. You've never heard me force anyone or attack anyone because I believe he was not alone. Let me start this before we start the tape. The interesting thing is, and I made a transcript. This is Assistant District Attorney Herbert Leifer. He was working for John Joseph Santucci of the Queens County District Attorney's Office when the case was reopened, right? 1979. And I think it ended in early 1980. But the interesting thing is that these are letters that David Berkowitz wrote to D Channel. And curiously, they are in chronological order, except for the very first one. They're all in October chronologically, but the first one is November 26th, 1979. Unless the transcription got it wrong, we'll hear it. But whatever, it's important that this was the first letter read because it has to do with symbolism. David is very anti-Sigmund Freud. And Freud's symbolism of the phallic symbol, right? And the whole thing that somebody wrote about him alluding to homosexuality, and he's greatly offended.
Yeah.
And it's good that he trashes that because in a way, without any intention, it would corrupt what he explains of the symbolism he used for the son of Sam. You see, so in other words, he wants to clarify none of this phallic, homosexual, male love or anything like that has to do with the son of Sam. He will write to D Channel where he got this symbolism from, and he's well studied on the occult subjects, New Age, paganism, and all of that. So it's very intelligent that it begins with the trashing of the inverted symbolism of Sigmund Freud and the phallic. And also,
well, that's interesting, Eric, because if he's so anti, what you just said, why would he reach out to Abrahamson himself to talk to him if he was against figures like this?
Well, why?
Yeah. He went out of his way to get in touch with Abrahamson.
And he also got in touch with Jack Jones. And this is just shortly before Jack Jones and what he writes to I'm
I got you, Steve.
It's thrown me, that little thing there. Wait a minute. What he writes to D Channel is completely opposed to what he's telling Jack Jones.
Yes, and I was going to point that out to you, Eric. It's like it's split personality. There's no mention of occult to Jack Jones.
Yeah, well, that's part of my time a few years ago. That little time zone that I did. I lose myself when these things appear when I'm talking. It breaks my train of thought.
Well, if you think, right, he's talking to the Queen's DA in late 79. He's talking to Jack Jones in March of 1980. So there's not a big time gap there, is there?
Yeah, and he's also writing to D Channel about the occult.
Yes.
Involved. Now, with Abrahamson, this is why I claim that the most... I'm not saying David Berkowitz hasn't changed today. But what I'm saying is that letter from June or July of 1980, where he screams, "You're all my puppets, my puppets, but not you, Dr. Abrahamson." He also is using Dr. Abrahamson as a puppet. He's using him, but for what reason, I don't know. And a lot of it is also maybe cryptic in the letters between him and his cousin-in-law, Susan Sugar Wishingrad. It's almost as if like something has to be displayed to protect himself or whatever, because then Abrahamson, and I says, there, I was right. He doesn't care for, he criticizes Abrahamson in Caparelli's book. So
how do you know which version of Dave to believe, Eric?
How do I know?
Yeah, he's telling different groups of people different things. I know what I believe. You know what you believe. But anyone coming into this case, I mean, I was as guilty as watching Josh Seaman's documentary and falling for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Well, I'll say two things. When I first had a conversation with Mr. Frank De Gennaro, and Frank is not somebody who has betting money on this and wants to sway anybody. He's a very fine, gentle chap. And let's remember that his father, Frank Patrick De Gennaro, was the police officer who found the body of Joseph Messina. Who was killed sometime from 2 to 5 hours after the attempted slaying of Savino, Clark, Brenda. So David Berkowitz, in communicating with Frank De Gennaro, said that he had to tell Michael Caparelli that he was the only one to protect people on the outside. And so I had said to him, well, Frank, what is David's belief? And he said, it's the ultimate evil. So now the ultimate evil outside of Maury Terry is something else. That's something else. And the true crime journalist Sandra London analyzed it perfectly, what the ultimate evil is. It's almost like the ultimate evil is like this big force that is controlled by people who are manipulating our society, you know, the psychiatrists, and so forth and so on. And there is an agenda why all this is taking place. Now, we can't get into that now because neither you or I are conspiracy theorists, and most conspiracy theorists don't even have theories. But I would say that David, in my opinion, believes that, you know, really was with others. But how can you come to believe it? We can't say. We can't say because he is so definitive with people in what he's saying. Now, in these letters, we are going to get a revelation where he's concerned about what they will think of him in jail. And that's why he doesn't mention, I think, barking dogs in this, but that's why he had to clean his slate, that there were no barking dogs, no demonic possession, nothing of that
Which
sort.
leads me to believe that it really did happen. For him to openly admit he had to stop saying it makes me believe even more that he really was hearing these voices.
Yeah.
And for Manny to say that David wasn't diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, if you listen to the tape of Detective Klein, they ask him what he was diagnosed with, and he says paranoid schizophrenia. So either David doesn't remember what he was diagnosed with, he says it himself.
Yeah. Well, Klein's another one. I respected him, but then he calls Frank De Gennaro, I just found out, and says he's guilty. Berkowitz is guilty. But in the show we did, they say, we're not saying you're guilty, we're not accusing you. But then at the end, well, we're going to review that tape again. And of course, Manny played it. He's got an insider. It's not, there's no redactions or censorship. But you and I filled in that the people not mentioned were both Manny and Frank De Gennaro. Now, there's one other thing that is relevant to me about this particular tape by Herbert Leifer, is that it reminds me what Joshua Zeman told me when we had a conversation, a chat, visual conversation That's Facebook's messenger. Lasted almost 3 hours, actually. Nothing was recorded. And
Well, if I'd have known, Eric, I'd have joined that call that night, but I was fast asleep.
it wasn't even in the evening. It wasn't even in the evening that it took place. It was just, I thought it was you and Paul and Max, and
Yeah.
I called you, and Joshua Zeman comes on.
Yeah.
And, Joshua Zeman said to me, Herbert Leifer and New York Police Department Detective George Burke put their careers on the line, and they believed definitely that Berkowitz was not alone. So
despite no evidence, Eric.
Well, no actual evidence, no, but that's detectives and people. There's a lot that points to it. There is a lot that points to it that he wasn't alone.
Like I said to you,
and
Eric,
discussing interestingly with Paul Hart about this, we can't get into that right now, but there is something that Paul Hart has discovered, and also in relationship to Cecilia Davis, but we don't want to get off track.
Well, I'm seeing a rise in conspiracy, like clickbait, more and more in recent years, Eric. Like people believing like crazy theories, like the pyramids weren't tombs, but like energy plants, acting like the Watchers from the Book of Enoch were like real fallen angels, and the Anunnaki built Baalbek and Pumapunku with zero proof, and Atlantis was real because Plato said so. And I could go on and on and on. These days, it's all YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, wherever platform they can get, Twitter, X. Back in the day, it was books and newspapers, wasn't it?
And that was the way it should be. But unfortunately, look, there's a deranged behavior in the social media, and it's not going away. Even that famous newsman, Bill O'Reilly, said it. I heard it maybe a year ago on the radio at night in the car. He says, this deranged behavior is not leaving the social media. These people, once they get on social media, they're like people who once they're behind the wheel of a car, suffer from road rage.
Absolutely, Eric. And it's all for money these days, isn't it? And the truth is staring them right in the face and they ignore it.
Mm-hmm. See, they don't know how to.
I'm not pointing at you, by the way, Eric.
No. I mean, I more and more now that something personal has been resolved, hopefully, I want to start more and more analyzing things. But I have to say, for me, what Herbert Leifer reads and what David Berkowitz writes to D Channel confirms more and more many things for me, including Rothstein and the environment that he entered. This is just fascinating. And yesterday, by the way, in this tape, you will hear Hank Chinotti mentioned, but he's not by name. I'm sure that he's referring to Detective Chinotti. Yesterday, by the way, at St. Vladimir's Ukrainian Catholic Church, we had a sacred liturgy for Hank.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. How did it go?
Oh, it was beautiful. I had to sit down because right now my legs, I'm recuperating, trying to use my legs properly. But I sat down and I had to be the deacon with 2 books and singing out words. I don't know where the voice came from. It's
lovely, Eric.
It's an Eastern Rite church with all Byzantine Eastern work, gold gates, and there was Irena and I, and then the 3 members of the Salamoni family who were very friendly with Hank, and Teresa had to leave, and then we all went to the Apollo Diner, and in East Meadow, and the 2 boys. So
it was like a celebration.
Yes, it was a healing. It was a healing,
okay.
and it was good because of the horrible way his body was treated when he died. A very, very Catholic man, and his cousin Joey from Florida became the closest relative. No longer power of attorney was his cousin, who took care of him night and day, practically getting ill over it. And just like ordering something on Amazon, he gets in touch with the funeral parlor and he says, no, ship the body to a crematorium. And Hank was very, very Catholic, and the body is cremated. and somewhere in Florida, the ashes were sent. So this was rather beautiful. But at least I got him his last rites, the sacraments, from this same Ukrainian priest, Father Vasily Orenkiu. And before that, when he first got ill, I got him sacraments. So it all turned out for the best. And
Well, I know all about that, Eric, because my mother passed away during March 2020, just as we were going into the first lockdown. And back then, you could only have a maximum of 10 people at the funerals. So we had to have like a celebration of life when COVID had calmed down and everything kind of went back to normal. So then we could have like a celebration of life, like later on, properly invite people.
Yeah, yeah. But it was good. It was a small group, the way it should be. But I suppose there's going to be a person or two who will want to turn upside down what we've done. And the fact that a person or two have to immediately put up a video after we've done one, people are starting to be afraid of you and I. I'm not trying to give us gold stuff, but they're afraid because we're presenting information and they don't want it.
Patrick. Yeah.
So,
well, this is a very, very interesting tape, and I think people would be very, very interested by it because I had never heard it.
No,
but
nobody
like I
did.
say, it's referenced in the Ultimate Evil, which if you remind me afterwards, I will pull it up and show everybody. And it confirms it's D channel. And who I suspected all along was this informant that Maury didn't want to name and still didn't want to name. But, I mean, can you tell by listening to these tapes, is Herbert Leifer seeing her name on the paper or is it already redacted? Did Maury redact it? Because Herb was still trying to get Dee's name from Maury and he wouldn't give up her name, would he?
Well, what we would have to find out is, I don't think there's a date of when this takes place, is there?
I can't recall. I've only listened to it once.
Yeah, because the other tape recording is a telephone call between Leifer and Terry, where as a journalist, he doesn't want to give up his source. And now, does this happen before or after?
And we have to remember, David is also writing to Bernice here. So she's another female that maybe David and Maury didn't want to give up her name to Leifer.
Yeah, but we hear the name Bernice.
Oh, we hear the name Bernice?
Yeah, Bernice is mentioned.
But we just don't hear the name Dee.
That's right.
So Dee is obviously the one that Maury is keeping in his back pocket.
But maybe Leifer was made aware of who it is. You know, Leifer legally says purported to be David Berkowitz. He has to do that legally. But you have discovered that these were actually written by David Berkowitz. So good on it. Okay.
All right. Let me add it to the stage. You ready?
Yep.
Let's go.
This is Assistant District Attorney Herbert Leifer. I am present at 110 Bedford Road, Mount Kisco, in the office of IBM Corporation. This time.
So IBM Corporation is obviously Maury Terry's offices, right?
Yeah, he was working for I think it's called International Business Managers, or you know, and so there is a working intimacy and relationship between the two of them. You know.
All right.
I'm going to read into the recorder copies of letters received by Maury Terry from an unidentified informant. The letters were written by, or were purported to have been written by, David Berkowitz. First letter dated Monday, 11/26/79. Dear, the name is blanked out. Tisk, tisk, tisk. What an idiot Sigmund Freud was. I don't even think I spelled his name right. Anyhow, because of this crazy shrink and his phallic fantasies, he was queer to the end. I am now being labeled one of them, by down-to-earth fools and naive bastards. I resent this accusation greatly. Let me hereby dispel and destroy any fears you may have because of this blank and his theories. He is wrong, and if you would only dare me to prove his error, I will gladly, parentheses, very gladly, blank. This is Assistant District Attorney Herbert Leifer. I am present at 110, yes, I did. Road, closed, Mount Kisco, in the office I only want to assure IBM Corporation that in this matter he is in this time I am going to read out the recorder. I have met some of these.
Sorry, Eric.
What's happened with the tape?
What was it doing?
It was going back to the beginning of where he says he's present.
Oh, was it? Hang on, let me play it a minute.
For letters restrained.
Right, let me play it on my phone, Eric. There's obviously something going wrong with it.
Yeah, because it's overlapping. It's overlapping. Yes, it's overlapping. So, the beginning began where we were up to. It's overlapping. Two voices, Leifer twice.
Oh, look, we got some comments here.
Yeah, please, let's start again from the very beginning without that happening.
I'll play it through my phone, Eric. Tell me if you can hear it.
Yeah, if not, I'll put it on.
Can you hear that?
From an unidentified informant. The letters were written by.
Yeah,
you hear that?
Reported they've been written
by David. Please hold it. Can you hold it? Let me try and see what it's like when I put it on. We want to get the best vocalization of this. What happened before? Where were you playing it from before?
I was only like 2 minutes in, Eric.
Yeah, but from what source? What format? Please, Rena.
Oh, Google Drive, Eric.
All right, hold on. Let me put it on from my library, okay?
It's obviously glitching from my Google Drive to the StreamYard for some reason.
Yeah, okay. We can't have
Patrick
that.
Thomas said he could hear it, but
but he doesn't understand. It was overlapping. Okay, it was
John Catalano says, Eric, you're not a conspiracy theorist. What do you consider the ultimate evil, a factual account?
I have nothing to say. You know, this is ridiculous. I have nothing to say about these things. You know, I'm not here to debate that. I'm here to explicate something here. Okay? Hold on.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say I'm going to need a new laptop soon. I'm surprised it's working at all, to be honest.
Okay, just let me get.
I'm running out of memory in my hard drive. It turns itself off. It overheats.
Okay, this is far too important. It can't be. It has to be. Okay, now I'm opening this up. Tell me what it sounds like, please. Okay, here we are. I'm playing it from my source.
Okay. You're the controller, Eric.
This is Assistant District Attorney Herbert Leifer. I am present at 110.
Is that clear?
Yep.
Okay, we'll play it from me. Then when you want me to hold up, tell me.
Bedford Road, Mount Kisco, in the office of IBM Corporation. This time I am going to read into the recorder copies of letters received by Maury Carey from an unidentified informant. The letters were written by, or were purported to have been written by, David Berkowitz. First letter dated Monday, 11/26/79. Dear, the name is blanked out. Tisk, tisk, tisk. What an idiot Sigmund Freud was. I don't even think I spelled his name right. Anyhow, because of this crazy shrink and his phallic fantasies, he was queer to the end. I am now being labeled one of them by down-to-earth fools and naive bastards. I resent this accusation greatly. Let me hereby dispel and destroy any fears you may have because of this blank and his theories. He is wrong, and if you would only dare me to prove his error, I will gladly, parentheses, very gladly, blank. I don't mean to be vulgar, parentheses, yes I did, close parentheses, but I only want to assure you that in this matter he is incorrect. However, I have met some of these, parentheses, strange persons in the various circles that I circulated, but I never did it with any of them. No way. This isn't from me. Matter of fact, plenty of straight women were present too. Probably more women than men. Nuff said, question. Now, of course, you must correct blank in this matter. If you don't, then I am dead. The reason I am in prison, he isn't. You nor he have no knowledge whatsoever of how the prison gossip system works. It doesn't matter if a certain room isn't.
Did you hear that he said the reason why I am in prison and he isn't?
Yeah, who is he talking about?
That is very interesting. Who is he really speaking about? The reason
Maybe Terry Gardner.
Terry Gardner.
Maybe Maury. Yeah, or Maury.
But why would Maury be in prison? I don't understand.
No, he's saying that's why I'm in prison and they're not. Like,
but he didn't mention Maury Terry and Terry Gardner.
No, but maybe that's who he's referring to. Who do you think he's referring to?
Somebody else who was an accomplice with him. That's the only logic. Maury Terry and Terry Gardner weren't accomplices.
I know, but they were the ones looking into this.
Yeah,
David was often worried what Maury was putting out there, wasn't he?
No, this has nothing to do with Maury Terry. This has to do.
David's singling out one person.
No, this has to do with somebody else trying to allude that he was involved with homosexual acts. Okay.
True. Here there is no justice. Should the inmates believe that this, parentheses, they will believe it because they want to, close parentheses, then I will be dead within a week. Believe me, my reputation is bad enough because of my crimes. I don't need this horrid rumor added to it. Now you're probably wondering why I scolded you when you write gay notations in your letters, making jokes, jotting down things about this stuff in the magazines you send, etc. Why? Because of my fear that someone will believe this. Blank, in prison, a man survives by his masculinity. So please straighten him out once and for all, him and Maury Terry.
Right, so it could be Terry Gardner and Maury Terry.
At 8 p.m.
So when he says straighten him and Maury Terry out,
yeah,
he's claiming that Maury Terry, and I never read this from Maury Terry, was alluding to something of homosexual nature about Berkowitz. I never came across that. Have you?
No, never.
Okay. Then he says him and Maury Terry. Now, is the him Jim Mitiga or another journalist?
Could be a multitude of people, Eric. It
Yeah.
could be Gardner, Chinotti, any of them.
No, not Hank Chinotti. Not Hank Chinotti. No. Not him. Could be somebody else. I don't see Gardner, but this is it's rather cryptic. But
yeah, it could be Medigo.
Yeah, but I never ever found anything with Maury Terry alluding to David not being a heterosexual, but it greatly concerns him. Remember, this is the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I started the letter. Why? Because when I got this blank at 3 o'clock mail call, I was so upset that my hands trembled. After I read this letter the first time, I got so upset that I cannot begin to describe my feelings to you. Honestly, I hate these well-meaning but simple-minded people. I have to laugh and cry at the same time after I read what you wrote in red ink about Bernice being troublesome. Honestly, she is driving me crazy. The district attorney from Queens.
Now, Bernice is his girlfriend, right?
Right.
In case people don't know that. Okay, so she's not Edited out. All right. So he's going to the Queen's District Attorney.
Tried to contact her. So what did she do? She got hysterical, called the Middle of Silence Gallery, and told them not to give the DA any of my letters for them to examine. Too bad, because in it I explained the meaning of the symbol. You know what I mean. I mean, too, that I would have been writing the gallery from time to time, and I really wouldn't mind if the DA peeked at some of them, the letters.
Right, stop it, Eric.
Yes, Bernice told them.
So did he just say he was writing to the Middle of Silence Gallery?
Yeah, I didn't really get clearly.
I don't really know a lot about them.
No. What gallery is that?
I think it's called Middle of Silence Gallery.
Yeah, because Leifer does not enunciate well when he reads that. You know what?
Yeah, I don't know too much about them.
No, I'm trying to figure out what he's saying. It didn't come out in the transcript. It's the Middle of Silence Gallery.
Mm-hmm. I think they were New York based.
And they had letters.
Yeah, I think they were going back and forth with David for a while.
Really? But who was giving them the letters? Bernice?
I'm not sure, Eric. I think David himself was writing to them.
I see. Well, I've never heard of that gallery before. And
Patrick says some info about them in the 2.0 group.
Oh, the Middle of Silence. It does pick it up. She got hysterical, called the Middle of Silence Gallery and told them not to give the district attorney any of my letters for them to examine. Too bad, because in it I explained the meaning of the symbol. You know what I mean. Okay, so that's quite interesting that he's writing to this gallery who had an interest in him. And I find that quite curious. He's letting them know publicly about the satanic symbols and everything, but not, once again, going back and forth, that there was this symbolism and it had significant meanings, but yet denying that with other people at times. Let's go forward.
Which he goes into, doesn't he?
Yeah.
To hide the letters and not to cooperate. The next part of this letter is illegible. On the side of the letter is written, "Truly Satan reigns. Truly he is supreme. I am powerless against him. Absolutely powerless. Satan is supreme. He has me." Page 2.
Okay, you hear that?
I did.
Completely different from Jack Jones and others.
Satan is supreme.
Yeah, completely different from Abrahamson, completely different from a New York Times reporter. You see? Now,
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, now Patrick Thomas also says Middle of Silence is a homosexual term. Well, I never knew that, but thank you, Patrick. Okay, but wait a minute. It's a homosexual term, but why would David Berkowitz, Patrick, be writing to them? He wants nothing to do with that culture. You know, but we'll have to look.
For a guy who shot and killed innocent young men and women, he certainly has thin skin. What a snowflake Berkowitz is.
John, I can see how you say that, but be careful. He's in jail. And it's very, very dangerous back then. We're talking about, I mean, it's dangerous now, but we're talking way back 1977, 1978, 79, a whole different environment and state of mind of people. Let's continue.
Hang on, look at this comment from Amiga. It says, from the ultimate evil, through Chase D, word got back to Berkowitz that Rick Penacek was using the theory that Berkowitz and others in the group are homosexuals.
Yeah, well, you see,
wow.
They say the word theory. The guy has no theory. What investigation did he did scientifically or metaphysically?
I tell you what, that group is a mixed bag, isn't it? You got pagans, druids, homosexuals.
All these groups. We're just reading Drawing Down the Moon, witches, druids, goddess worshippers, and other pagans in America by Margot Adler. A masterpiece. Irena and I have been reading it. It's a mixed bag, but
which has nothing to do with murder whatsoever. So how did they?
The Wicca people want nothing to do with Satanists.
No.
Okay. So let's proceed now.
I have been telling Bernice to cooperate to a degree and to mind her own business. She is terrified and is hiding under the bed. Boy, do I hate cowards. What can I do? Honestly, she does aggravate me because she doesn't know how to use tact at all. Blank area. The sheriff in North Dakota. He has been ringing her phone daily and asking her weird questions. Her letters to me are now so jumbled and scribbled that I hardly read them. I can feel her terror, but I am also laughing because she is silly, behaving like a child. Thanks, blank. Now about those symbols. Those markings are in courtesy of Mr. Lee.
I got to stop this for a moment. The sheriff in North Dakota, right?
Yeah.
Who would that be? That would be Terry Gardner.
Yep. Terry Gardner or...
Okay. Why is Terry Gardner reaching out like that? Because in the future, you'll hear perhaps my conversation with Glenn Geetson.
Okay.
And Geetson says to me, if Terry Gardner showed up, I'd tell him to get lost. He had nothing to do with this case. He was just looking for publicity. That's what Geetson told me. Of course, this is a mystery because Linda O'Connor says Terry Gardner was the first to show up at her house, but it was Geetson who said he was the first to show up, and he heard the gunshot go off, and he tells Joshua Zeman that, and then they run in. So there's a mystery there, and there could be an answer with what was Terry Gardner doing? Because as Wheat Carr, I just discovered, wrote to Manny Grossman, she tells him that Phil Falcon was a paid informant and that Terry Gardner had an influence over him. So there's a big, big web of mysterious actions going on there at Minot. Very big. And I wonder really what was the entire position, the entire game, shall I say, the motive of a Terry Gardner.
Right, before you press play,
what
was it? David just referenced Eliphas Levi as inspiration for his sigil, okay? His
That's
symbol.
Right.
Okay. Just to set the stage, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Eliphas Levi was a French occult writer whose work heavily influenced modern Western esotericism. He drew on Christianity, Kabbalah, Hermeticism, ceremonial magic. He saw himself as exploring a hidden spiritual philosophy rather than promoting devil worship. A major source of confusion is his famous image of Baphomet. Many people today associate Baphomet with Satan, but Levi intended it as a symbolic figure representing the reconciliation of opposites, male and female, which you get in David's symbol, the male and female sign, right? Light and dark, spiritual material.
And that's also the process church of the final judgment, a reconciliation of opposites, Jesus Christ and Satan.
If Levi wasn't a Satanist, then how does it make sense for later people to point to Levi's ideas as symbols of evidence of a murderous satanic cult like the one David Backwitz later claimed existed? I mean...
Wait. Eliphas Levi was not a Satanist.
No.
He was not a Satanist. A lot of people will say that even people in Wicca or neo-pagans are Satanists because they don't know what they're talking about. Okay? They don't know what they're talking about.
No.
But that's the whole thing. There are people...
David starts, his first says Eliphas Levi is an inspiration for the symbol. So
right.
That's one of many.
That's right. He was well versed. He studied very, very well on all of this.
So why were there no books on the occult found in his apartment, Eric? But there was a
Well,
copy of the Bible.
well, maybe because he read these books elsewhere. Maybe
Or
because
maybe he read them afterwards.
maybe he read them afterwards. Well, yeah, but that's where he's saying he got the symbolism from. Don't forget, he frequented people who knew far more than he did about the occult. Okay,
Supposedly.
and no, factually, he did know the Carr brothers. They introduced him, and the two names given by Michael Caparelli, I have just been informed from somebody who spoke with Caparelli that yes, those names were put there instead of John and Michael Carr. They knew he had an interest. They took him into a deeper interest of this. So it doesn't necessarily mean that David Berkowitz had read books on it. He could have just completely clicked and used it.
Or he could have been influenced by people like D Channel, Eric. It's highly possible.
Yes, but I don't see that because he's writing to her saying what he did. So now you're trying to say...
But you have to remember these people like Bernice and Dee were sending him literature, Eric. And he was also getting literature.
Okay, so are you saying that he's lying now, writing to Dee?
I'm not saying he's lying, but I know that he was heavily influenced post-arrest.
Yeah, fine. But the fact that I'm trying to get across is, why would he write a letter to Dee Channel about how he created the symbolism for the son of Sam?
Yeah, but that's 2 years post-arrest, Eric. He could be saying anything. I know what you're getting at. It's a creepy sigil.
But it doesn't make sense to start doubting the whole thing with what he is giving us.
Okay, well, he's in contact with the Middle of Silence Gallery. He's in contact with Bernice. He's in contact with Dee. He's in contact with Reverend Noah Hutchings. He's in contact with Maury. He's in contact with all these people that could be sending him literature, and he's picking up bits and pieces, Eric. We just don't know, do we? Because it's funny, there's nothing in his apartment.
Well, so what?
I mean, he may have read the Ars Goetia, the Lesekia Solomon, and seen some symbols and got the idea from that.
All right, if we want to follow your argument, how do we know he didn't go to a library?
Well, he did go to a library, but he never took
So the books are in the library, the books are not at home. Plus,
I'm just making a point, Eric, that a lot of people were influencing David post-arrest. That's all I'm saying. People were sending him a lot of literature.
Right, but then that's true. But then you're saying that right now, what Leifer is reading that he wrote to D Channel is that he's writing to D Channel about what she gave him as if she never gave it to him, and he's saying, I did this. It makes
but that's just D Channel. We don't know what else he was given by different people.
Yeah, but why do we have to look at the other people? Why don't we just pay attention to what he's saying to her?
I'm just making a point, like, we don't know what people are filling his head with. And we know that it was enough to make David come out and say that he didn't act alone, Eric. So, where was the mention of any of this when he was arrested, Eric?
I don't have everything from when he was arrested. This story goes back and forth.
There's no mention.
Yeah, but everything historically doesn't take place at once.
Yeah, but he doesn't mention anything about people helping him. He was part of a satanic group of people. There's no mention of that, Eric, until Maury comes along and all these external forces. That's all I'm saying. Okay, and it's what I ignored.
That's your position. That's your position there. And, yes. and it's a good point, But I disagree.
Well, he goes on to mention other sources of this symbol, so it's not just Eliphas Levi. It gets weirder, doesn't it, Eric?
Weird, but interesting.
Weird synchronicity.
Shall we proceed?
Yes.
Satanists from Spain.
Okay, pause, Eric. He just said the Basque. The Basque witches, which I don't think many people would have heard of. The Basque witches.
No, hardly ever heard of, but it's very interesting,
So the Basque witches, known as Sorganak, are figures from Basque folklore in northern Spain and southwestern France. They were believed to have supernatural abilities and were linked to traditional folk beliefs about healing, nature, and magic. These ideas fueled the Basque witch trials in the 16th and 17th centuries, when many people were accused of witchcraft and persecuted. Today, the Sorganak remain an important part of Basque cultural mythology and storytelling. And as you know, Eric, a couple of weeks ago, I went to a presentation at my local library about witch trials, didn't I? And now we're hearing this from David about Basque witches. So weird synchronicity going on here.
Shall I
But
proceed?
yeah, it's a random source, isn't it, for him to mention? It's quite precise, isn't it?
Right.
So yeah,
Go forward.
yes, go.
You will find these markings in books about them. I think, honestly, I cannot tell you where to look or if these symbols have been printed in book form. Also, the whole SOS symbol was put together from various symbols and markings. You'll never find another symbol that will duplicate it. If you recall, the Basques were, parentheses, still are a wild bunch of mountain folks, parentheses, highly suspicious. They are heavily into the occult and Satanism. Of course, they also are into witchcraft, but this never...
Now, Eric, pause it. Did he just say the Basque witches were into Satanism?
Um,
Because that's not correct. Patrick Thomas, didn't Gerald Gardner write about such things? Yes, I was watching a documentary about him yesterday, funnily enough, Patrick.
well, he says, and Satanists. I don't see where.
Well, that's not true.
He says they still are a wild bunch of mountain folks, parentheses, highly suspicious. They are heavily into the occult and Satanism. That's what he's talking about today. Of course, they are also into witchcraft, but this never concerned me. That's what he says.
Yeah, I think he's getting mixed up there. I've never seen anything about the Basque witches being into Satan.
Of course, you never know who could end up mixing things up.
The provenance is so unclear that he could have attributed it to Dr. John Dee or the Fjord Society or Atlantis, the way he's going. I mean, he's just...
Well, he does reveal that the largest European American population of Basques is in Idaho, which I find fascinating. But, you know, a lot of people, as I said, get these things confused, like Lady Rhea had said to Herman Slater at the Warlock shop. If there's any Satanists involved here, I'm running out that door. So there is people tend to believe that they're all one and they're not. Okay, yeah. Let me go forward now.
Idaho has the largest population of Basques in the United States, and all the religious practices have followed them. Blank really surprised me. I had no idea that he wanted to visit. No idea whatsoever. I just thought that maybe a phone call or letter, blank. Well, I wasn't any more prepared for him than you were. So be open and honest. Don't pull any sneak stuff and hold your ground. Be hospitable and leave a good impression. Make believe that you're going on a date with the blank and the preacher just invited you over to examine you first before he gives his consent. He has to make sure that Dizzy is good enough for blank. Tell him he wants to know. I can't do it, but I can tell. Withdrawn. I can, but I don't want to. I am in a predicament where I cannot talk with the press or people. Let a rumor begin that I am a stool pigeon and I am dead, as if I was one of those strange ones that I spoke of before. Comprende? I sure hope you do, because I am in a dangerous situation. Nobody here hates a strange one, stool pigeon, or sex freak more than anything imaginable. I think I said this wrong. What I mean to say is that those three I mentioned are hated so very much that they are in constant danger. Again, I'm not any of these, but I can't let others think that I am. No, it's not my fault if you screwed up because I never knew he would visit. No, I never knew he would ever visit you. Who could imagine that he would do this? I don't even know your address. All I know is blank. So you're on your own, but please make sure he gets off this stupid stuff. You say that you saw the very distant people in those composites. Oh, really? Is that all? What are you trying to say? I think, blank, you had better give your batch of circulars. You had better review your batch of clippings on the case. Yes, you had better. Page 3. I am fearful about...
Who do you think he's talking to D Channel about, whom he never imagined would visit her?
That's a tough one, Eric.
I don't.
What about you?
I don't know, because I don't believe it's Maury Terry, because later Maury Terry is mentioned.
I really can't think who it is.
No, I can't.
I don't think it's Terry Gardner.
No, Terry Gardner's in North Dakota.
Maybe Midiga?
I don't know. I don't see Jim Mittiga or McTiga as somebody who actually inquired or investigated that way. I could be wrong, but I don't see him behaving that way as a journalist. Or in fact, we don't even know if David is referring to a journalist. That's the whole point, you know. But he's certainly frightened.
Mm-hmm.
There's fear here.
What you said here, small scale, blank. Don't tell me you rounded on him. Don't tell me that you remained aloof and dodged his questions. No, you couldn't do this. Yes, I wanted you to talk with him on a small scale over the telephone, but who expected blank blank? Anyhow, I do hope you told him as much as one could tell. I hope you told him your ideas and theories, and that you didn't let him steer the whole conversation.
You see that, Eric?
I'll only find out something.
What?
You see what Amiga said?
Rick Pianchak flew out west to meet with D. So it could have been that man.
Quite possibly. Very, very good find, Amiga.
Yeah, Omega, late November when?
79.
But this letter is November 26th, 1979.
It just says late November. So maybe, I don't know, Eric, maybe he went out there twice. I don't know.
Refresh everybody who this fellow is.
Rick Pinachek?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 79.
No, but who was he again?
Eric, Amiga, tell us. I don't know all about him, Eric. I'm not going to lie.
No, I the name flashed across, but I'm not so sure.
Is he a lawyer?
Yeah. Anyway, it might be a good idea after we're finished that for the end of the show, since this tape is short, we play the whole thing unedited.
Well, I was going to upload it, Eric, on its own.
Yeah, I think that should be done.
So then people can listen at their...
Yeah, I think that should be done. Okay? All right.
Catalano says he's a reporter.
Okay, here we are now.
When blank, it will be too late. Please don't tell me that you pulled the Bernice act and hid everything from him. God, I sure hope not, because you will only have one opportunity to speak your piece. One chance. Goodness, I wish I could have been with you, but I wouldn't let you get away with silence. Nor would I let blank bullshit you. Honestly, I'm sitting on pins and needles, just waiting for your answer and to tell what happened. Please be quick. Shit. You see what Satan does, right? You see how he screws things up and destroys me. You see now how I am trying to indirectly help others learn the truth about all this. Yet I am now a victim again. This time a victim of stupid investigators who know nothing of the occult, or whatever they decide to call those weirdos who practice this stuff. Here I am trying to help others, and now Satan has pulled out his weapon, his secret weapon. Should I decide to help blank or others like him? And now this crazy blank is going with this strange desires theory. My God, Satan is really supreme, isn't he? God is a powerless fool against his deadly foe. Satan, liar that he is, has got me into a corner of awaiting death. Should I talk to anyone, blank, Terry, Miniaga, Gardner, Santucci, etc., about the occult involvement? Then out comes this strange theory, which wouldn't sound like a theory in print. Then after this nonsense circulates, I'll be dead in no time. If not dead, then I'll be a man most miserable. I'll be joked at and laughed at by all the other inmates. What goddamn motherfucking fools these investigators are. What stupid fucks. Meaning well, they will destroy the very one that is helping them in the first place. It is I who was leaving many of the clues with you. Blank, Sheriff Gardner, and Gilroy. They want clues, yet they are killing me at the same time. What idiots. For your information, Bernice got me those large clippings that I sent to you after reading. I didn't even have them for more than several hours before I sent them off to you. I can see by reading them just what this thing is going to lead to. What a
He's
fool
getting
I
a lot
am.
of clippings, Eric.
This has got to stop.
What?
He's getting a lot of clippings from people like Dee and Bernice, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
But just exactly what the clippings are, we don't know.
Well, we know Dee was heavily into satanic cults and stuff, don't we?
Yes, but we still have to know what the clippings were to be factual. She might have been involved in that, but she was seriously involved in criminology because of her relationship to Patricia Hearst's family, who appreciated her and what she tried to legally do. So she just wasn't somebody who was like one of these fans who was mesmerized by criminals in jail who committed many heinous crimes. We even have a copy of a letter of Patricia Hearst's father to Dee Channel. So Dee Channel is not really a superficial person. But what the clippings are, I want to know what the clippings are. David is obviously, see, there's something. He's very afraid, but at the same time, he wanted her to speak to whomever.
Yes, he is talking to a lot of people, Eric, and he's saying a lot of things to these people.
Yeah.
And then he wonders why, like, people are, it's like talking telephone, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And now, notice how he says, this is very interesting. He's still suffering from this quasi-possession, shall we say, when he says God is powerless against Satan. He's replacing the omnipotence of God with Satan. That's very curious at this time. And this is the same time when he's telling Abraham and others that it's all a bunch of rubbish.
Do you think Satan is a scapegoat for people's evil deeds, Eric?
A scapegoat? Well, if a person commits an evil deed, they've committed an evil deed.
Yeah, but why is he blaming Satan? What is the accountability, Eric?
Well, I think he does admit the crimes he committed. I think that people, when they say Satan, they're not trying to say that that Satan said, I want you to knife this person. What it is that when you commit an evil act, you are pleasing Satan. But
it's not Christ consciousness, is it?
Yeah,
he's being controlled by Satan.
You're pleasing Satan. But to say that he's controlled by Satan or a demon, that takes a lot of profound study. Even the greatest people of the church would take a long time to study people to see if they're actually possessed or if there is another type of cerebral derangement.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get to the person who's deranged, you wonder what portals are opened up in their mind to other forces. It's very complex, Rena.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it. Yep.
Oh no, I know you know that. That's why you're asking the intelligent questions. I know you know that. Let's go forward now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I will just write the post and Daily News and tell them that I was lying about the demons, that I am perfectly normal, and that these investigators are foolish and crazy.
There you have it. He says he's going to write to the Daily News, the New York Daily News and the New York Post to say he was lying about the demons. And that's exactly what he did with, I believe, a reporter from Newsday and somebody in the New York Times.
Yep.
That's exactly what he did to say that he was lying.
Didn't he hold a press conference?
No, I don't think he did a press conference about that, but that's exactly what he said to these people and Jack Jones, because he's very concerned. There's also a concern about what people will think of him in jail. And that later on comes out in Michael Caparelli's book.
And this is what makes me believe, Eric, that he was hearing demons. For him to say, I'm just going to tell him it was all a lie, means to him it was really happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, whether he was alone, as you believe, or with others, something afflicted his mind. And then we have to ask, was his mind afflicted because he was administered lysergic acid dithylamide, LSD, in Louisiana, I believe?
I don't think he did that much to be affected by it like that, Eric.
No, but he was administered it. You see,
you're talking MK Ultra kind of.
Well, I don't know if it would be MK Ultra, but kind of yes, because he does say he was given it. Not that, I took it to get
forced it though. He willingly took it.
Right, but a lot of these people in MK Ultra and experiments like that with the military and government and intelligence and these Central Intelligence Agency office who are psychiatrists, right? They would volunteer to take it. They thought they were doing something patriotic. They thought they were doing something good for mankind. Many of them volunteered.
Well, I'm telling you, I took LSD back in the day and had no bad effect on me going forward.
Yeah, but you don't know what LSD, what lysergic acid dithylamide they gave him.
Well, I suspect it was a lot stronger in the 70s than it was in the 90s.
Yeah. And then, of course, we get into another discussion, the Brotherhood of Love, the Orange Revolution. That's something else. Anyway, we go forward now.
The investigation will eventually stop because of a lack of further materials, and that will be that. No more investigations, no more stupid rumors, or stupid fools to spread them. Like the usual, Satan will be victor again. David. End of first letter. Letter number 2, dated October 27th, 1979.
Okay, so we're going back to a letter in October. This was a November letter. He's calling it letter number 2. Yep. Now, I find it quite interesting, but as I said at the beginning, to do away with the phallic symbolism is to make people understand that the symbolism he used has nothing to do with that. Now, and so now we go to this next letter, and this is back in October, previous to the one that we've just heard.
Dear blank, yesterday I sent you a small but fat envelope, blank. There was a Post article enclosed about this investigation. I was going to send another one, but I held off until today. This is just an insurance measure in case one letter gets lost. I didn't expect this to happen, but let's not take chances. Being that these articles haven't been Xeroxed, they are irreplaceable. The article from the New York Post, 10/13, is enclosed. It was by CARPOZI. Obviously, this investigation is serious. This is where we're getting this mail problem from. Also, this is why blank has been pestering a short time ago. I guess it kind of explains itself. I mean, the article is pretty clear. Blank, you know damn well that these Satanists cover their tracks pretty good. You are aware of their intelligence, parentheses, businessmen, doctors, military personnel, professionals, close parentheses.
Now you see, he's mentioning this is long before any Maury Terry asking him or presenting him lists of names of people. He's talking about people way up there in power. And that makes me think of my discussions with Rothstein.
Okay.
Powerful people involved. And of course, why not? Frank Sheldon, Jeffrey Epstein.
You know about Stotland, Stotland, a very brilliant man in an earthly sense. Cults, as you know, flourished around college campuses. They flourish around military bases too. Drugs flow all over these two places, parentheses, universities and bases, close parentheses. Young servicemen and young college students are involved in sexual relations. So mix the two of them up, put them near each other, and what do you have? You've got a pretty wild, dedicated, and nasty bunch of young, zealous, anti-establishment devil worshippers. And what a deadly mixture it is. My. Didn't Miss Perry wander around the Stanford campus frequently? Well, start adding, kid. What have we got here? Don't forget the girl from Washington State who was hiding out for fear of her life. Blank. There is an attorney in Staten Island, New York, who was ordered by the court to interview me when I was in Marcy. He had a court order. Of course, I could have refused to talk to him, but something inside me beckoned me to talk. I beat around the bush and dropped little hints here and there. But he knew too much, blank. It is in the court record that I was in a Holiday Inn. I was staying there when I was in Houston. Houston is a huge, spread-out city. There must be 1,000 some odd motels in the city. Guess what he found out? Guess who was registered in another room at the same Holiday Inn? Wheat Carr, daughter of Sam Carr from Yonkers.
You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Wheat Carr.
Now, how do we know that is a fact and it wasn't hearsay?
Well, all we can do is listen to how he relates it. Now, she did have her nephew, or was it the niece, who went to live in Texas?
Yeah, John Carr's ex-wife, yeah.
Yeah, so she might have been visiting the
the
nephew or niece.
Yep.
But that
Small
we can.
world, as I say, Eric.
Uh-huh.
He was down at Houston when I was. This is why I only stayed at my friend Dan's for a few days. I couldn't stay longer because I had other plans. Oh well, believe it or not, this is in the court record and transcribed. I must get a copy.
Oh.
Then there were the dogs, hundreds of them, found in the vicinity behind my house and Sam Carr's house. All slain and mutilated, blood drained, etc. All the dogs were stuffed in plastic bags. Do you think I'm kidding? Perhaps in months to come I'll have the transcripts. There was my attempt to get a job with the Yonkers animal shelter. This guy knew about the cigarettes in the car, not my pack of butts. Oh, so very many things I can't go into it all. All this is unpublished. Truly, it is a major cover-up. All of this, all that went on in Marcy, has been forgotten by the detectives. But they knew of the numerous inconsistencies, the numerous discrepancies, the numerous unanswered questions, etc. God, there is so much. Honestly, I could probably type 10 full pages detailing every inconsistency.
It's truthful there. the inconsistencies with law enforcement and so many people reporting. He's correct. He's correct, Rena.
Yep.
And the other thing, I never heard, he says hundreds of dogs behind him in the cars, mutilated and put in plastic bags. I never heard that before. Did you?
Oh yeah, the dead dogs that were found in.
Wait, he says hundreds of dogs.
Oh no, I think he's exaggerating there, Eric.
You know,
Hundreds of dogs. I've never heard hundreds. I've heard a few,
No.
but.
okay.
Did you see what May said? What big revelation about what Wheat said? Cops flip people all the time.
Well, it's not a question, May, of a big revelation about what Wheat said. The fact of the matter is that I had asked Rena this 2 weeks ago, and all other people, and speaking with other serious investigators, they never heard that Phil Falken was a paid informant. We don't know if it was police or what.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. We know there's informants, Maybeth, but we never heard that about Phil Falken, not from Maury Terry or anyone.
No, I'd never heard it.
So yes, there are informants, but we've never heard it before about him. So that makes you wonder, what was his entire role in
How did Wheat know?
That's right. Well, we'll touch upon that also. We'll touch upon that. She did tell that to me indicatively to Manny Grossman. I have it word for word.
Mm-hmm.
I have it word for word. Here we go.
Every known fact that I wasn't alone, that it wasn't me, that the gun in my possession is all they've got. But if only they knew the real motive, all this would have driven Sherlock Holmes to drink. But let's wait and see what happens. I don't think anything will. This will be another Martin Luther King and Kennedy thing, blank. I know it all. The others are gone, dead, took off to the prairies. Blank. All this takes is common sense. You've got common sense. Unfortunately, not everyone else does. Let's go back for a moment to when I was first arrested. Remember the hysterics? Not me, the citizens of New York. Remember the demands for my execution? Kill him. Die, Berkowitz, die. Remember the district attorneys and their pledges that they will convict at all costs. You must not forget all the pressures, the terror, the madness, the publicity, the pressure on the police to wrap the case up and catch their man, the disgusting press, etc. Keep all this in mind. It is easy to see how they miss so much. Small questions that would
Pause there, Eric.
at an investigator's mind. These little but
Yeah.
I mean, how dare he say that? How dare you say that, David? You had the opportunity to help the police when you were arrested. For you years later to say, oh, if they'd have just investigated properly. Why didn't you say something when you were arrested?
Well, he's going to have to answer to that. But I find it extremely interesting what he's written to her. I mean, you see, that's the mystery of the arrest for me. Not for those who think he was alone.
And what did the Queen's DA find, Eric? Nothing.
Well, they found quite a bit, but as Santucci says, in a part of the interview which we're privy to, damn it. Can you hold off putting things up while I talk just for a moment? I get distracted, Rena.
Sorry.
The mystery is, was he set up? Is he a kind of patsy? Is he a Timothy McVeigh? Is he a Lee Harvey Oswald?
Well, I would say if there was a cult involved, Eric, they should have done their due diligence and made sure that who they were hiring to help them kill people was of sound mind and
Well, I think the people who wanted others killed are not of
well, as they seem to be hiring vagrant up the
yeah,
street,
but,
like
I don't know. Yeah, but he wasn't.
Suzanne Conway, John Carr, Michael Carr.
I don't think he was. I don't think Berkowitz was hired. He was a part
No,
of
but
it.
they're just picking out some random people and like trusting them to go and commit a string of murders.
Yeah, but we don't know if he was picked randomly. I don't think that. I don't think they're going to pick somebody who's random. His work was not random work.
Yeah, but it's not like he's a freaking, a master with. He was just someone that come out of the army, was doing random jobs.
Yeah, but
He wasn't like a hitman or anything, Eric.
Yeah, but he knew what to do on reconnaissance and studying the areas where he would go and the shootings would take place.
I just think it's a cop-out for him to say the police didn't investigate properly and it was staring him right in the face. When you could have said something when you were arrested, David, but you didn't.
Well, I could see how you logically say that, but I agree with him about the cops. I agree with him 100%.
And it's funny how the murder stopped when he was arrested, Eric. If they really wanted to cause chaos, they would have carried on the attacks and really fucked the police over. If they had a number of 44s like they claim, they could have carried. Oh, they think they got their man, and the 44 attacks are still going on.
Well,
if they really want to fuck the people,
about creating chaos, I think the chaos is more created by the media, and thriving on these stories.
Yeah, but Eric, can you imagine? They think that they've told the whole world they've got the 44 caliber killer, the son of Sam, and then the attacks still happen after he's arrested. Imagine the shitstorm that would have happened because of that.
Of course.
But it didn't, and they stopped.
Yeah, it all stopped.
Just like that.
And that's a very good point that you're making.
David just happened to have the gun with him.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point that you're making. A very good point. But remember though that David went to the Mamaroneck shelter for animals the day before he was arrested. He called them up, and a woman called Florence Larson said David Berkowitz called because there was an advertisement in a paper by a group called Paws, and they looked after these dogs that had been harmed, were mutilated, dealt with cruelly, and they wanted them adopted, and many were German Shepherds, and they wanted to also go and investigate where these people lived to make sure that the home was conducive to the health of a pet. And David went there with another man. We have this from Florence Larson. He went to the Mamaroneck shelter with another man. David was playing with the German Shepherd, and the other man was talking to the people there. And the man talking to the people there is the man who is described in the Demasi Lomino shooting. The same description is given, and the same description that Celia Davis gave, I'm told, on that Queens County District Attorney interview, which I have not listened to. But they did not adopt that German Shepherd when they found out it was not pure-blooded German Shepherd. Now, why?
Dog's making noises. Why would he go and adopt a dog, Eric?
Well, let me finish. That's what Paul and Hart are discussing. Paul asks me. He knew I was going to answer this. He said, "Why would they not want to adopt a German Shepherd that's not pure blood?" And so I said, "Well, because they want the pure breed for a sacrifice." And then I also stated, we were discussing. I said, "Well, the strange thing is that why would he bring a dog home if he couldn't stand them, all the noise and everything?" But this is documented. This whole thing that Paul Hart has found is documented.
Or Eric, he could have just stole Rocket. I'm sure he was a purebred.
Possibly. I have a photo.
It's like backyard.
I have a photo of an authentic German Shepherd. They got it from Slovenia. They're different.
Or Duke or King.
Their body sizes are different. But then again, purity of blood, I'm sure that there were not 100% purity of blood. What David says here of hundreds killed behind his house and the Carr's house. I never heard of hundreds being killed and sliced and put in bags.
But you're more likely to see mongrels and mixed breeds in shelters, not purebred dogs.
Right. Well, people will say this is a purebred German Shepherd, but it may not be. A lot of German Shepherds in America suffer from that their hind legs go. You see.
Yep.
Inconvenient fact for Eric. How? John, there are people who gave an identification of another man there. And I was discussing this with Paul Hart. And that same description of that other man was at the Mamaroneck animal shelter with him. I'm not bringing that up. I'm reporting what's put out there.
Yeah, they seem to pop up a lot, those sketches from that attack.
I see, this is my point, Rena. I can't say, this is not a belief for me. We receive information. I'm not going to believe or disbelieve. I'm taking the information. Now, if Paul Hart suddenly has done research, and he's not somebody who falls into any pit abyss that's dark, and the description of the man with David Berkowitz at the Mamaroneck shelter is the same description given by Cecilia Davis and then given at the shooting of Demasi Lomino, I'm just receiving that. That's all. I'm just receiving that. You see what I mean? You know, and, you know, I mean.
Don't shoot the messenger, you're saying?
Yeah, I just receive it. What am I'm not going to play God and say I believe or disbelieve. Okay.
Well, yeah, what do you think about Donna Damasi and Joanne Lamino and Mr. Barlow and all identifying David?
I'm not thinking anything of it because I want to get on with, you know, I think we should get on with the tape because that's something we could talk about another time. Okay? What do you think?
Definitely.
Because then it's going to become a discussion and a debate where people are saying this, that, or the other. You know, I mean, yeah, John is making a point, but what's the point? We're listening to something else now.
Press play.
Peculiar story that began to filter in. No strange occurrences, etc. All of it was covered up and dumped in caps. It couldn't be explained. There wasn't any answer. So they, in caps, ignored it. But time is passing, the pressure is off, the wounds are beginning to heal, and the hysterical terror is gone. People are normal again. They're calm. They're not terrified and mad people anymore. So now it is time to recheck everything. It is time to recognize and review all the information and evidence that has come in. And now the discrepancies can no longer be ignored. Thus, they've discovered that they lacked so very, very much. I'm in prison, yet the cops in New York are back where they started from. It's not my fault. Actually, it isn't theirs either. Nobody was level-headed enough to grasp all the evidence. Well, here we go. Let's see what happens. Guess what? I've just heard over the radio that the detective who has been investigating the case has been placed under psychiatric care. The DA, Santucci.
You know who that is, maybe?
No.
Hank Chinotti.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So what? It's possible because I don't know of anybody, any other detective. That's part of the protocol. That when they think someone's strange, they send them to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. He wasn't under psychiatric care. They questioned him. They examined him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's part of what they do with the police. They always scrutinize these men.
So why was Hank being placed under evaluation at that time, Eric?
Well, he went to North Dakota to protect Maury Terry, but he ended up saying, I'm here on official business, and that was Hank's problem. He should have said it's a vacation day or sick day. I want to overlook my friend. This is dangerous. And also, they, in my opinion, they put him under this psychiatric pressure because they were deeply, deeply afraid of what he might have even uncovered because of the lax behavior of the police. And that's my firm belief. And I'm going to cross-refer to something years later. Because when, as I told you in the past, I've said it twice in the past, an ex-detective who went with the mafia, and it's not true what Mike James Lorenzo says. The mafia will use ex-law enforcement people. They will permit them to go in, because already you're dealing with a defective law enforcement officer. It's not as if all of a sudden he sees the darkness or the light and decides to go with organized crime. There's already a seed there. And that man, loyal to old school ties, got in touch with Hank and said, listen, I'm being loyal to you. They'll never hear me again. They're upset with you, the powers that be, because you're upsetting people with the way you're investigating this case. Leave it. They're going to kill you or somebody in your family. Mm-hmm. That set off a big paranoia with Hank. That the people within the force would do that to him. I mean, why else do you take a guy and knock him down to a patrolman on the beat or a desk job for just going to investigate something and saying he's there on official business when he was highly citationed, one of the most highly citationed homicide detectives? So that there is a serious problem. Now, I'm going to cross-refer to something that we will be touching on in future shows. Frank Patrick DeGennaro was the patrolman who found Joseph Messina's body. And in speaking with Frank DeGennaro, he's very pained. He always loved the New York Police Department and everything, and they can't get any records of that. His own father can't even get the police report.
Wow.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So there's a lot. I mean, look at the conspiracy archive, Glenna. Everybody is blocked with the New York Police Department. It's a very dicey. Yeah, you could do a Freedom of Information law, Freedom of Information Act, but that's where Christina has done very well in getting documents, and John Curio. But there are certain documents that are almost impossible to get. They're not very friendly. It's not as blissful and freedom loving as people think.
So they're not being the gatekeepers, they're being the gate.
Yeah, I mean, Frank DeGennaro can't even see the surveillance of what happened at Clarksburg Library. Wow. But that's another story. All right. Okay, so. But I got to say, your point is good. What is it that was David Berkowitz fearful? Was there fear, fright? What is the story? You're correct. Why did he not come out and say others were with me or whatever else when he's arrested? But it all comes out now because this is not being fed by Maury Terry right now. This is well before Maury Terry really becomes a major protagonist in this case, almost as if, as I used to say, David Berkowitz's alter ego.
Well, yeah.
Investigation. Mental state.
What was that?
I was just going to say it. As we've said before, it seems like Maury was getting a lot of information from other people.
Yeah, let me go back a bit because we cut out some words, okay?
Yep.
Here we go.
It is time to recognize and review all the information and evidence that has come in, and now the discrepancies can no longer be ignored. Thus, they've discovered that they lacked so very, very much. I'm in prison, yet the cops in New York are back where they started from. It's not my fault. Actually, it isn't theirs either. Nobody was level-headed enough to grasp all the evidence. Well, here we go. Let's see what happens. Guess what? I've just heard over the radio that the detective who has been investigating the case has been placed under psychiatric care. The DA, Santucci, has announced a standstill in the investigation because of this police officer's mental state. I swear I just heard this. Now I'll have to wait for the newspapers to elaborate.
I don't believe Santucci put this on a standstill because of Hank Gianotti. Now, it might be very interesting to see, is there some other detective that this happened to? But he claims it's in the newspapers. Is there another detective that this happened to? I happen to know that Edward Zigo did suffer about this case from a family member of his, and I can't find this young man anymore whose father was a detective with Zigo, but he did the Black Panther, Black Revolutionary people. So is there another detective? Is there somebody?
I don't think it's Zigo, Eric.
No, well, I'm just saying I knew that he suffered after the
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
It's not known. But is there somebody else? Because Santucci did not put this case on hold because of Hank Ginotti. Okay, let's.
30-second news radio items don't reveal much more tomorrow. Type son of blank. Handwritten at the bottom of the page. P.S. Carposi has done it again, but he doesn't know it. Everything is here, one neat package. Now reading from parts of other letters, apparently undated.
They are from late October.
Apparently from late October of 1979. That church letter, as well as the prison magazine, had my complete address and my inmate number, 78A1976. Who could have done it? The magazine from Canada, your favorite, had a very skimpy address on it. It said DB, Attica P, Attica, New York. This is one sent from Canada. Obviously, someone put my name in for that one. But these items I sent you, blank, were addressed too perfectly. Oh well, no harm done. I enjoyed immensely. Goodness, I'm awful with the typewriter today. Now for another matter. You say, yes, you are dangerous, or were. This was in reference to Sam Carr and the tragic death of his two sons since my arrest. Well, I'm not the only one who is dangerous. You see, destructive psychic thoughts can also return to their originator. I know a great many things which few would ever believe as it stands now. Of course, and very importantly, many do, caps, not wish to know. The son of capital C, capital S, capital C, small R-A-T-C-H, case is closed. The son of Scratch case is closed. It is closed in the eyes of the public and the authorities. Good. So let it be. It is the best way. But it doesn't necessarily mean that my thoughts destroyed the Carr family. It is a job of the police department everywhere to investigate crimes and catch criminals. It isn't my job. Whatever leads or clues they develop, they develop. It ain't my job to do this either. You see, what I'm trying to say is that in time, other criminals will slip up somewhere. Someone will come forward with corroborating information to help solve a given crime. Someone will get caught in the act. Thus, it is off to jail. The time will come, and it does seem soon, that many cases across the USA will be marked solved. The more crimes you commit, and the greater the likelihood of your capture. The more people you include in a group that engages in criminal activity, the greater the chances of someone ratting you out. Things are hot now for some, so I'll just sit back and wait. In the meantime, this letter won't go out until blank. Another excerpt from letter. Kid, remember to get those materials ready. Everything you've got that connects present-day cults to violence, especially homicide. I want everything you've got on Druids and their related crimes, especially modern-day Druids. Gather everything you've got on Satanism, as well as it is related to murder of animals, and human sacrifices. Get it packed neatly and ready to go. 2 of everything. You will be sending them off to Manhattan, New York, and North Dakota. Just get it all ready and let me get the addresses. Hang tight. Also, please photocopy pages 226 and 227 together from the book Haunted House. Also, photocopy the Haunted 35 Pine Street article. I sent it to you recently. Lastly, this stuff on the professor from Pennsylvania. This is the story about the satanic slaying of a school teacher. I need this too. Trust me. P.S. Yes, I know or knew about this crossroads thing for quite some time. The X marks the spot theory isn't all that new to me. In handwriting below, apparently Berkowitz's, dated 10/19/79. I just read a Time magazine blank. Thanks for it, and please be advised that a card was also marked blank. I will hold off on sending this letter until you blank. Excerpt from a letter dated in November of 1979. One thing that puzzled me is Sheriff Gardner's phone number. This is obviously a toll-free number, and the address, First Avenue, sounds as if it's right in the center of town, just like where you'd expect to find a police station. Of course, Gardner claims that this is his home address, and the number is his phone number. Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm just getting odd vibrations. He's trying to apologize for that leak of my letter, the letter which became page 3 of a New York Post article, November 6, 1979. The article was also incorrect, inaccurate, and exaggerated as usual.
Pause it, Eric.
Larry is the guy who wrote those stories which you have in your possession now.
So what David is referencing is the Gospel Truth, which was Reverend Noah Hutchings, who was in contact with David. Reverend Noah Hutchings gave Gardner some literature, their monthly magazine, the Gospel Truth, and David wrote him a letter, and he gave part of it to Gardner, who printed it in the Minot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he's talking about.
David wrote to the preacher.
Yes.
And the preacher
Noah Hutchings.
Part of it to Terry Gardner.
Yes.
And
who
Terry
gave it.
Gardner also tried to call out of state from North Dakota someone. And also before this, David is speaking about, he's basically saying, I'm not a rat. I don't want to rat out. But at the same time, he wants the facts to come out. He's also confused. He's speaking of druids who commit murder.
Yeah.
No. Now, you could always have people who claim to be druids and they're committing murder, but druids is...
No.
we don't have any records of them.
No.
At the same time, this makes me lean toward Glenn Geetson, because what type of a serious investigator is Terry Gardner in doing what he's doing?
I mean, go on.
Is he looking just for publicity? Somebody who just wants to be known as being the law enforcement officer in this case? Gardner is a mystery, and the only way we can get thorough information would be to track down Linda O'Connor and to track down the United States Air Force Officer of Special Investigation, Rick Ferron. It's very, very strange behavior on the part of Terry Gardner. I mean, he's giving information to the newspapers. I don't know. I just find it very, very...
I often question David's knowledge of esoteric studies and the occult and pagans and druids. I mean, David thought Sam Hain was a high-ranking demon.
Yeah, it's a festival.
Yeah, he thought it was a high-ranking demon that was summoning him to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the story changes so often, Eric. I mean,
when I was much younger in the 70s, people who were of traditional cultures in the West, people of traditional religion, they actually thought yoga was satanic.
Hmm.
You know, yoga, hatha yoga exercises were satanic and everything. It's basically a lack of knowledge of the subject.
Right.
And fear of the other. But
it's also ignorance.
Oh, yeah, well, that's it. When you have fear of the other, it's ignorance, a lot of ignorance, you know. I remember certain very good people in Italy, not the entire Italian population, but, you know, they were simple, good working class people. They were from the Neapolitan area, and they saw me writing. Of course, I wish I had the food they made, pure and, oh God, and they saw me writing, and they're going, ma guarda, 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 la sinistra, look, he's writing with his left hand.
Well, it's like those. I mean, looking at these witch trials. I mean, what was going on in England, 15th, 16th, 17th century? You would get accused of being a witch if you looked at someone the wrong way.
Oh yes.
They'd burn you at the stake. You walk past someone down the path, and then they drop dead the next day, and then their family accuses the person they walked past of being a witch.
You've got to watch a Danish film from 1943 by the master Carl Theodor Dreyer, Days of Wrath, I believe it's called. Days of Wrath. You must see that film. It's a masterpiece, and it shows you of people being tortured and burnt at the stake. 1943. It's a masterpiece.
I definitely would have been burned at the stake back then, Eric.
Well, they did it to Saint Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
And she was a saint.
Well, these Basque witch trials are one of the most famous witch trials in the world, along with the Salem witch trials. So,
and there are people who believe there are still people who act like that today.
I'd love to know how David found out about the Basque.
Well, probably. Who knows?
Yeah.
He definitely read about it. Shall I proceed?
Yes.
Please hold off on their return until further notice. Maybe months from now, maybe never. By the way, my father is dying to see this stuff too. But how could I get it to him? He is curious as to what this is all about. First he says, cooperate, cooperate, cooperate. Now he is saying, silence, silence, silence. I am just confused by everything. You ought to see this letter he sent me. 8 full pages, using every inch of paper to write on. There's hardly any white visible, only blue ink. So I've got to give him some answers soon. Did you ever wish that you could just vanish? I'm looking to purchase a nice, quiet bungalow in Bonners Ferry, Idaho. A nice, quiet, and deserted place where I'll never be found. Where is it?
Is that it?
Of the whole thing?
It just cuts off, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the actual playing time is only about
half an hour.
27 minutes, let's say. That's it.
Well,
so,
I thought it was very interesting.
Yes, I did. I mean, people might think we were almost going to argue at a certain point. We weren't arguing. We just had, at the beginning. And, we didn't mean for the beginning of the show to have that technical problem, but technical problems do take place.
Well, would you like to see where D is referenced in The Ultimate Evil, Eric?
Yes, I think it's very important. By the way, that film is called Day of Wrath. You must see it if you have a serious interest in this. Okay?
Yep. I'll jot that down.
1943, a masterpiece of filmmaking.
I'll bear that in mind, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
This is from the chapter, The Most Unlikely Ally.
Mm-hmm.
So to find an appropriate place to start so I don't have loads to read, I shall start here.
Mm-hmm.
Berkowitz wanted to see the Son of Sam case solved, to have arrests made, the truth brought out, but he didn't want to make formal statements in the courtroom. He was pledged to secrecy and feared for the life of his adoptive father, Nat, and other relatives in the New York area. So Berkowitz came up with a plan. Using Lee Chase as an assistant, he would send clues and leads to different people mentioned above. With luck and some guidance from him, he thought the case could be broken wide open without his having to turn state's evidence into in a courtroom.
Okay, so right there, objectively speaking, there you have the answer, whether you agree or not, to your question, objectively. Why he didn't say everything when he was arrested, And what exists even to this very day is fear, he claims, as he told De Gennaro. If he says that there were many people involved, others involved, he's fearful of those on the outside of getting hurt by them, as if today it would be pro-generational.
Okay. Well, that makes no sense, Eric, because if you have these people on the streets, they're going to be potentially killing other people. So,
right, that's the big question. Just if there are these other people, who are they? Are they still committing murder? Is it not being reported? What's taking place? That's the thing.
If you were that worried about people getting hurt, you would help the police and put them behind bars, not letting them run the streets.
Right. You see, the question arises is he psychotic like Timothy McVeigh, suffering from delusions? And
delusions of grandeur? No, I'm joking.
No, delusional that there are realities that don't exist, or there are realities that he is then reworking. It's not, this is not, in my opinion, an act he's putting on to play with people. I think that there is a psychosis present. But all I can do is receive the information. I don't know what took place. But here, see, sometimes you read so much, the other paragraph, the sheriff in Minot was Lieutenant Terry Gardner. And he puts sheriff in quotes because I don't think he ever became a full sheriff. And the middle of Silence Gallery was a commune or association of artists and poets. Now I remember, not actually, it was who literally believed in demonic possession. So there you have it.
You also have to remember these are Maury's words here.
Right, but you can verify, was it not a commune or association? I'm not going to trash Maury Terry. I'm not going to take a prejudiced position pro or con. I'm looking at what's written here. Was a commune or association of artists and poets who literally believed in demonic possession. So you can always verify, was that the middle of Silence Gallery? Is that what they were? Okay, now the gallery also offered mundane theories about the killer, a number of which were very reasonable, but he says also mundane.
Where are you reading this from, Eric?
It's the first paragraph on the left, opposite to the right-handed paragraph that you just read.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I should have started there. Shall I carry on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Even operating in the shadows, Berkowitz was taking a risk. He had only to touch his throat to know what had already happened to him. But he was angry that he had taken a fall for others. Angry that they were still on the loose. Well, David, you could have stopped that. You could have stopped that. Was also stricken by guilt. He wanted to pay back something for the havoc he helped create. What a cop-out, Eric. What a fucking cop-out.
What's the cop-out?
Well, he could have helped them at the start, Eric, when he was arrested. Oh, he wanted to pay back something for the havoc he helped create. Is Maury sticking up for him here?
No, I think that what Maury's doing is just writing what we've just heard read.
Apologist.
Well, not an apologist. He's relating what was just read now by Berkowitz that he wrote to D Channel. It's not, you see, if you're reporting history, you're not supposed to editorialize and say what you think.
Where did David say that? He wanted to pay. Where did he say that?
He says it in different words. In different words, he says it because he wants, he wanted to pay back. Well, remember, the book is 1987. So what Maury is writing is not just based upon 1979.
Since the Marcy meeting a year before, Berkowitz had pondered the case. Until that day, he didn't know that anyone was looking into the conspiracy. He had believed the case was shut down. After Marcy, he waited and watched. In July, after his throat was cut, he heard rumblings about the Moskowitz article we wrote. He didn't have the piece yet, but when he finally received it from a Westchester relative, his reaction, I was told, was one of extreme joy and satisfaction. He sent a clipping to Lee Chase and told her it was right on target. Penachek also said that Berkowitz especially liked the Moskowitz article. When Michael Carr died, Berkowitz clipped a New York Times story on the death and mailed it out to Chase with the words "occultist," the same sad end, written on it. In mid-October, Berkowitz caught wind of the new NYPD investigation. On October 15th, before Santucci's probe was publicized, Berkowitz wrote to Lee Chase, "Gee, you picked the most god-awful time to move. All this time we've just been goofing off, when now it's very important. Look, this is very, very important, and I think you know what it's about. Now listen to me. I want you to get all those clippings, like what he said in the audio. I want you to get all those clippings which you've got to deal with animal sacrifices, especially dogs and cats, if possible, but any will do." Remember he read that in the tape, Eric?
Yeah.
Next, everything you've got on druids, modern day druids, please do this. Also remember those materials you had on Bundy. I mean, those TED slang, possibly being related to the occult. And of course, any clips or papers you've got on a satanically linked professor. Now, make one copy of each article. What I must get hold of are clippings or stories on cult groups or just plain satanic occult groups who sacrifice. Berkowitz was writing this letter 9 days before we broke the story about the cult, the dead dogs, and onto my park. Look, remember what you said about Ted, Killer Ted Bundy, being with the occult, sacrificing? I know you do. Okay, it's a long story, damn, Lee. This is what my phone call was going to be about. We've got work to do now, kid.
You see, I think how this could be looked at. If I were to say that he was alone, right? Let me change my position for a moment. Let's say I say he was alone and not with a group. What he's trying to do is gather forth information to say, look at what takes place, and I was a part of this, and here are the traits that are similar, if I were to say he was alone. But right now, the motive for getting all of this and putting it together with him, with other people, is not very coherent. It's a lot of information, but to what end? What is the specific end? You follow me?
I hear you, Eric.
What's the specific end of all of this?
I just think he's telling...
If I wanted to play the devil's advocate,
he's just playing games.
Well, it's 1970. Let's say if I wanted to play the devil's advocate, I'd say we're dealing with a man who's ill, and he was ill at the time, and it's kind of like on a high that leads to the satanic panic and all of that.
I think David should have just not got involved in Maury Terry. Because what good has come of any of this, Eric?
Well, he did, and why not?
Yeah, but a lot of people have been hurt along the way. All for what, Eric? No one else has been behind bars.
But tell me, who was hurt?
Well, the car's name was smeared. Mrs. Moskowitz was led down a wild goose chase. I mean, the list goes on, Eric.
If it was a wild goose chase.
Do you not think Maury Terry manipulated a lot of people?
I think that there was manipulation to get inside of them.
What do you think Maury's motives were?
I look at it this way. Maury Terry, I'll put it in my wife's words, did the best he could at the time with the limited knowledge he had. He didn't have computers like today. He didn't have access to all the knowledge that there is. And he caught on to something, touched upon areas of truth, and he did the best he could, and that's it.
I just wonder what his motive was from the start, Eric.
Well, um,
We can
I
say
do.
that for another day.
I do think that it psychologically affected him. You know,
Save that for another day.
mm, mm, you know,
We carry on.
I do think it psychologically affected him. I know nothing about his his Facebook page and the group that people were with, and I'm not interested in it really because it goes nowhere for me.
All right, let me carry on. Berkowitz went on to say that he'd soon have Felix Gilroy's address and that he wanted material sent there. He asked Lee to find out the address of the Ward County Sheriff's Department in Minot. Will you help me now or what? He asked. If you don't take action now, then it may as well be never. Just prepare the materials and I'll be in touch. Lee Chase was surprised, but only mildly. Berkowitz had been hinting about his cult involvement for more than a year, but would back away from confirming it. Now the die was finally cast. No sooner was a Chase letter in an envelope than Berkowitz wrote another one. This note, sent to a California preacher, was a flat-out confession. This is Reverend Noah Hutchings, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want one day, we can listen to his audio tape with Herb Leifer.
Yeah. So what you're reading basically confirms that you see from here that what Leifer read were letters to D Channel.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I really don't know how to begin this letter, but at one time I was a member of an occult group. Being sworn to secrecy or face death, I cannot reveal the name of the group, nor do I wish to. This group contained a mixture of satanic practices, which included the teachings of Aleister Crowley and Eliphas Levi. It was, still is, totally blood-orientated, and I'm certain you know just what I mean. The Coven's doctrines are a blend of ancient Druidism, the teachings of the Secret Order of the Golden Dawn, black magic, and a host of other unlawful, obnoxious practices. That dude's got a mixture of Basque witches, Aleister Crowley, the Golden Dawn, black magic, Druidism, paganism.
Yeah, but it's not far-fetched.
It's a lot, Eric.
Yeah, but wait a minute. If you study a masterpiece, Drawing Down the Moon, Witches, Druids, Goddess Worshippers, and Other Pagans in America by Margot Adler, it's almost 600 pages, real scholarship. You're going to find that in these modern times, there were these groups that were all mixed also. Now, but what he's referring to, though, is that this particular group also adhered to Aleister Crowley. The others wanted nothing to do with that or any type of Satanism or darkness. But even the good people had a mixture of everything. Now, here he specifically says ancient Druidism, and even Herman Slater would state people have to know that when they call themselves Druids today, I'm paraphrasing, they knew what the Druids were like way back. You know, they're basically sacrificial, homicidal, and so forth. So what David is putting all together was common with people and still is. It still is. Drawing Down the Moon is a quintessential work of scholarship. So nothing here. Now, we could say that why didn't David come out and tell everybody? Well, you're talking about somebody who maybe was, the guy was psychotic. A person who suffers from a psychosis is not going to act the way you would.
As I said, I have no interest in revealing the coven, especially because I have almost met sudden death on several occasions, once by half an inch. Several others have already perished under mysterious circumstances. These people will stop at nothing, including murder. They have no fear of man-made laws or the Ten Commandments. Berkowitz, whose Golden Dawn reference linked his cult to the OTO and then asked the preacher to send him some booklets or articles on satanic killer cults. I think it's imperative that I educate certain people, the people whose job it is to clean up after this coven. Of course, I'm talking about the authorities. Actually, it's my duty as a citizen of the planet to do so. But it would be up to those concerned people to do their own investigating. Knowing the fearlessness and dedication these groups possesses, I fear greatly for my family. So you see those a few pages back. You can see it's D channel, can't you, Eric?
Yeah, it's definitely D channel.
Definitely D.
It's definitely D channel, but I wish at that time I could have interviewed him, because once again, as happens so often, there's not enough of an inquiry in asking him specific questions to expound upon what he's talking about. What is a constant here is fear. Fear,
Well, he
right?
goes on here in a minute to talk about the Basque witches. Says several days later, Berkowitz was sent a similar letter to another minister. In it, he added, to break away completely is impossible because of a pact each member signs in his own blood. Also, each new and carefully screened recruit supplies a picture or pictures of his or her family members, plus their addresses. These items are used, if necessary, as tools for blackmail, coercion, and eventually physical harm should one attempt to betray the group. I guess you could say that I mellowed with this with time and as a result of being away from direct influence. However, I do want to leave it completely and quietly. A woman who lives on the West Coast has been counseling me, D. She is a Christian. To be honest, I'm not. Berkowitz would later add that influences of the Basque witches of Portugal and Spain were absorbed by his group with the other practices he mentioned. Then told the Reverend, you also seem trustworthy and reliable. Of course, I could be wrong. If I am, then my family could be harmed. He pledged the pastor to secrecy and asked for occult-related materials he could send to the authorities on the sly. So that ties in with everything we heard in the tapes?
Yeah, everything. So Terry is just basically explicating everything that David Berkowitz has said in his letters to D Channel and that Herbert Leifer read. And it there's a lot of information, no head or tail, because I still would want to know exact details about the murders, exact details. And that's what's missing, exact details.
Why do you think David was telling one person like Jack Jones one scenario and Maury Terry, D Channel, Bernice, and anyone that would listen a completely different version of events? What was going on there, Eric?
Well, there's a difference in telling what he tells Bernice and Maury Terry. When he tells Maury Terry, notice that when he's speaking to Maury Terry, he's giving only a general cover story. There's never anything about, well, there were two people sitting in a car, let's say Carl Denaro and Rosemary Keenan. There's never any exact detail about the shootings. Notice that. It's always just a general cover story with Maury Terry, alluding to people, powers that be, and that's it. There's never a fulfillment of, I saw John shoot Mary, and this is how it happened. You see what I'm saying? I don't find that. Now, why he tells Bernice why he's telling Jack Jones something else? Well, we have a hint in what we've heard Herbert Leifer read. I'm going to go to the Daily News and the New York Post and tell them that all of this was a lot of hooey. He basically says that, right? Mm-hmm. And he did do that with a Newsday reporter, and he did do that with the New York Times article that I have someplace where he says there was no demon dog or this or that. And then later on, he tells Dr. Caparelli that he had to do that because of how they were making fun of him going, oh, they would make fun of him in jail and so forth and so on. So I think that he wanted outside of the public to believe that it was all his imagination, he made it all up and so forth and so on. But on the inside, he's giving people hints about this and that he states really took place. Demonic possession, dogs, other people involved. And that's why he sometimes gets, you find anger with D Channel when he says, "What did you reveal this for? What are you revealing this for?" Of course, D Channel is guilty of blood money. Why are you revealing these letters? Why are you talking to this person or that person? So that's the only answer I can give. The outside and the inside. You see,
I sometimes feel like, I don't know, like I think he thinks he can fool certain people more than others, Eric. I don't think he could fool Jack Jones. I think he was very honest with him, offering him details. I mean, the way he speaks to Jack Jones, the way he speaks to Maury Terry, it's like chalk and cheese. I mean,
it's two different types of interviews.
I know, but he's so open with Jack Jones, and with Maury, he's so like clammed up almost.
Well, the last interview when he seems tired and hesitant, but not the later interviews, especially the earlier ones on television. It's because with Jack Jones, you're dealing with a different, you relate differently to different personalities. You're not always going to be the same. And the motive to speak to Jack Jones is very different from his motive to speaking to Maury Terry.
Okay, so why does he not mention anything about cult involvement to Jack Jones? That's what started to change my mind as I went along, Eric. Every week I listened to a new episode of Killer Tapes. I was like, this week he'll mention something, and each week went past and there was no mention of him. And that's when alarm bells started ringing for me.
Well, I could see how that could happen. But then again, as Paul Harder said, we don't have all the minutes, every single bit of those tapes. They've been edited by the filmmaker.
But what I've heard, Eric, matches up with what we know happened when he was arrested, post-arrest. It all matches up.
Right. But you see, we can't deny that, what he says with Jack Jones, but neither can I deny what he says to others. It's completely different.
How do you know which is true, Eric?
I don't know.
And that
I have no idea. All I know is that people were murdered. All I know that there are law enforcement officers who have staked their careers on believing he wasn't alone, and there are those who say he was alone. And the ones who say he was alone were deeply involved with higher ups in the police department, with politics, who wanted to get this whole thing over with. That's what makes me favor the other law enforcement officers. That's what makes me favor them.
Do you think David regrets getting involved with Maury? Or do you think it kept his story alive? He wanted to stay relevant, I think.
Well, these people do like publicity. They do like publicity. Let me put it this way. Thank you, Patrick. This is the thing I've always said. Oh, thank you, Ginger. You're the only one that has said that. Thank you. Now you're saying he's a Federal Bureau of Investigation informant. Aha, that's very, very good. Phil was also overdosed like JC. What do you mean by that, Ginger? What does that mean?
I think she means he overdosed. Because it made it sound like she's
saying like John Carr. Yeah. Well, as Glenn Geetson told me, the whole place was a drug addict place. The everybody there was
having parties on the base.
And so there's where David Berkowitz is correct. In the military, they're big viaducts for the drug deals, and also let me see. I met two American Indians who used to hang out at a house near the pawn shop in Houston, where David Berkowitz got his 44 caliber bulldog. One of them was definitely Phil Falken. He supplied peyote. So Forensics of Evil is telling us that he met Phil Falken, if I've understood correct.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
What was Phil Falcon doing in Texas?
Probably wanted to be a cowboy. Who knows? Or take revenge on. Leifer gets into filling drug rehabilitation beds after his assistant district attorney time.
Patrick says peyote. That is so 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Forensics. Phil Falcon was definitely involved with the American Indian movement, fully infiltrated by FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Ginger says Phil had to have his stomach pumped. He was OD'd by somebody.
So you're saying that he was murdered, Ginger?
He was given drugs and he overdosed. But where did you hear that, Ginger?
Yeah, that's right. Ginger, we're not discarding you, but where do you get that proof that he was overdosed?
He moved around and even mentioned traveling to New Orleans. She said at a party, I think. Well, Eric, I think we've done a grand job here.
Yeah. It's
I will upload this audio on its own in its entirety for people to listen to.
Now, do you want me to send you the audio I have?
I've got it. No, I've got it. It's just my laptop, Eric.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think it's good. I mean, it will take a lot of convincing for me to revert back to David Had Help, but I'm willing to listen to everything.
I wasn't looking at from you. As I say, I receive information. I don't, unless I get a complete, I've received information about, let's say, Frank DeGennaro, I receive information, but if somebody ever tries to contradict something I receive, I'm the wrong guy to try and trick because I get things documented. And people may think you and I were arguing here. We weren't.
This is pure discussion, Eric. No arguing goes between me.
Pure discussion, you see. And in fact, with John Catalano, I wasn't saying let's get on with it. I wasn't discarding John Catalano, but John, we weren't here to discuss the entire Son of Sam case and all the shootings. I wanted to stay focused on, and like you, Rena, on this one specific area here.
Yeah. We're going to be back to talk about Wendy, aren't we, Eric?
Oh yes. This thing is going to be very, very big. This Wendy thing. I got more information, and I will say that the last show we did, this is a fact. I'm not trying to sell us because we're not into blood money or anything, but there are people out there frightened of you and I because of the last show we did. We're coming close to 1,000 views. People are frightened. They're frightened. We have too many aces in our cards.
Well, I just like to see people getting involved, Eric, and discussing this thing. Whatever side of the coin you're on, as long as there's no arguing, you're welcome.
Yeah. I can't take the arguing. I can't take the vulgarity. I
wish more people would get interested in this case, Eric. It's a very niche subject. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
you see, unless we can find certain people, unless somebody can speak openly, the full truth will never ever be known.
Eric, as you've seen in the last few weeks, there's still stuff coming out. Just when we think we've got everything, there's still stuff. And what else is there we haven't seen is what I want to know. Are there more letters out there? Or is there more audio? Because I bet you there is.
I have no doubt that there is. I have no doubt whatsoever. I still believe that there has to be a transcript of the Chinalti interrogation so that we can see word for word what's said, because the room it was in is very large The tape is perfect, but the voices go back and forth. But yeah, also that thing about the Native Americans forensic of evil. A lot of the destruction of Native American culture was also during the counterculture with the drug culture. It's
Yeah.
tragic. It's tragic. The same thing with the who are those people in Pennsylvania? Those lovely people. Uh, Ginger, thank you. The people in Pennsylvania. I forget their names. They're not Shakers.
The Mormons.
Are they? No, they're not Mormons. Oh, oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. You know, they're very beautiful. You know, their culture started to become
The Amish.
the Amish. Yeah, their
Someone just
culture.
said the Amish.
Yeah, their
Um,
culture started to become.
Are you
a-
familiar with the Plymouth Brethren?
I've heard of the Plymouth Brethren. Yes. Oh,
Wow.
wait, Plymouth Brethren. Don't they precede the people who believe in the rapture?
Yes. Well, they're
Yeah.
big here, Eric. And that's Aleister Crowley was born into the Plymouth Brethren.
Oh God,
I've
yeah.
got a family of them that live in my village, and they've got a church here. One of the big British newspapers did an expose last week, and some ex-members are saying they were
They were what?
attempted suicide because of the things that went on in that church, and it's being labelled as a cult. And my kids used to go to school with some Plymouth Brethren children, and they would never let them go to children's parties. They couldn't watch TV. They couldn't listen to radio. They had to leave school every day to go home and eat and then come back. They couldn't go to assemblies. It's just a very, very weird group
Yeah,
of people.
well, it came from. It's one of those Protestant Puritan places. It came from Anglicanism in the 1820s in Ireland, and you know, it's I these places are very, very hyper puritanical. And when you have hyper puritanism, you're going to have hypocrisy with a lot of perversions.
Patrick says, why does all the weird occult stuff come from the UK? That's so true, Patrick. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, Crowley was born into strict Plymouth Brethren. And I think that's what led him down the path he did.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what one writer who was into the occult and wrote on Crowley did, that if his mother had really been a true Christian, true lover of Christ, they wouldn't have been so rigorous with him and pushed the way they did. I mean, there's a story where his father came in and he's asleep and he smashes him with a belt or a cane, and he says, "So I caught what you're doing now." And he wasn't self-satisfying himself sexually, but or like my friend told me what the Puritanism was like in Britain. They some people had very hot, big gloves, thick gloves, and they'd go into a person's home on Christmas and open up the oven and say, "What perversions! Look at this food!" Spices.
Well, may I just add while we end? It was Mr. Crowley that got me into ancient Egypt.
Oh, well, then that's positive. That's very positive.
I'll just leave you that to ponder over.
Well, no, it doesn't mean you're a Crowleyite. There's a pope who wrote about the importance of studying ancient Egypt along with Greece and Rome, and I've got to find that pope. A friend of ours, Maureen Day, she died in London. She had been a nun, left it when the Second Vatican Council came, but she studied the pyramids and everything. And there was a pope who said the importance of studying Egypt as important as Greece and Rome for our history.
Well, that's how Crowley wrote the Book of the Law. He was getting what he claims was Horus over his shoulder, giving him instructions to write the Book of the Law.
Yeah, but the problem with Crowley is that he perverted it. Just like he perverted the Ordo Templi Orientis. Originally, it wasn't. I mean, we may be theologically against it, but what it was in Austria is not what it later became.
We'll leave that subject for another day, Eric.
Oh God, it's a subject maybe for
You can
another
keep going
year.
and going and going.
Yeah, we got to get back to Savino. And Christina, thank you very much for this. And
Yes. Well done to Christina and John Curio and all the files you've got and the audio. Much appreciated for giving us this opportunity to air this. And I will upload it in its entirety for you to listen at your leisure.
Yes, so you're uploading this, and then you're going to upload.
I'm going to upload the tape on its own.
Yeah, I think that's best, because this was basically us discussing it, analyzing, describing, giving our thoughts, and people should want to listen on YouTube, not have to go search for it elsewhere in its entirety. And it's only 27 minutes, but it's very wealthy, very rich. And
yeah, and there's a couple of other things I might upload as well, so keep your eyes peeled.
That's very, very good. And I'm sure there's going to be a reaction to this show.
Yep, leave a comment. Let us know what you think, guys.
All
Thoughts, afterthoughts, anything's welcome, as long as you're not a dick.
Well, it's going to happen. Believe me, there's going to be a show about this of, once again, the Morions.
Never-ending, Eric.
Yeah, another piece of crap. Anyway.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
We'll be back with Wendy Savino Part 2 and Along Came Wendy Part 2.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Mm-hmm.
Ciao.